Hello everyone, it is Joe here from OmniPoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon. Today we're looking at ZoroRocCario. It's the archetype that won the latest international championships, and it's taken a while for me to get around to this archetype, but it really was kind of a meta call just for capitalizing on the popularity of other Zoro builds, PikaRom and Zapdos. Those are pretty much the things we're targeting, and that's 3 of the top 5 decks, so trying to target that many decks is not a bad idea at all. So the build we've gone for is pretty simple, straightforward, trying to get lots of Pokemon into play because, you know, as long as you get the Pokemon into play with Zoroark, you're drawing a lot of cards, and that gives you, pretty much the only advantage you need in the game because you have one hit KO potential with your Lycanroc-GX as well as, Bloodthirsty Eyes. Muk's going to come in against the Zapdos and other people running Jirachi. You've got the Lucario for type coverage in Mirror and against PikaRom. So that's pretty much the idea here, trying to have quick one-energy answers with the Lucario against some big threats like Mirror and PikaRom. Muk and Zoro for the Zapdos stuff, and yeah, you know the rest. Trade to win is pretty much the idea, to find yourself Guzmas and Acerolas, as well as Judge for hand disruption. So that's pretty much the idea of the deck. Very simple core engine of Zoroark that's just hitting the right types right now. That's the idea of this build. So let's jump into the cards and all that good stuff. So 4/4 line of Zoroark, as we all know. Trading is insane. Discard 1, draw 2, stack it up, get a big hand, get into your Power Spike supporters. That's the idea. Righteous Beating, obviously, is a big attack for the deck as well. Just one attachment of a DCE. You can do 20 for each of your Pokemon in play. We're really looking to have the full bench whenever possible and be 2-hit KOing things consistently. And because it's just one attachment, we can Acerola up as well. So anytime we can tank, we get a big... basically, we buy a turn back. So that's the idea. Then we have the 2/2 line of Lycanroc-GX, Bloodthirsty Eyes, a huge ability for giving us great control over the game because we can pick off our opponent's targets very, very early in the game. If we go first, especially, like it's on our turn 2, we can evolve up into loads of Zoroarks, Bloodthirsty Eyes, Righteous Beating, something that they want to evolve the following turn, or anything that they've attached to on turn 1, we can really punish them, and it gives this deck a great aggressive edge for trying to control the board, as well as having, again, the type coverage of fighting, being very good in Zoroark mirror matches. Claw Slash can obviously knock out Zoroarks, and Dangerous Rogue is looking to knock out anything if the opponent over-commits to their bench. Pretty much every deck needs to put Pokemon down onto the bench, so being able to one-bang your opponent once in the game is really awesome. So that's great. Then we have the 2/2 line of the Lucario-GX. Aura Strike is just when you put him on top of a Riolu that turn, for that one fighting, you do 30 and 90 more damage. 120 is the perfect number you need to hit against, again, the Zoroarks and the PikaRoms, which is pretty perfect for you. You can continue to attach energies and go for Cyclone kicks, and also if the opponent has to attack into Lucario, it opens up the Cantankerous Beatdown attack as well, which does 30 for each damage counter on this guy. So it essentially forces a gusting effect when you do use that Aura Strike, which is equally awkward for the opponent. So oftentimes we put him in for that great type coverage. He has additional synergy with Acerola, obviously, so just another card that we can just shove into the active, do a solid 120, and if he's hitting the right type coverage, it's really putting a checkmate situation against any PikaRom that hits the field if we have enough Riolu and Rockruff on our board all at once. Do note that the Lucario states the word Riolu, so do not go ahead and evolve him into Ditto Prism Star. You will not get the damage buff, so only do that if you need to hit for 30. That's pretty much the idea. Yeah, if it can knock out a Zorua, go ahead, but otherwise, don't go for that move, please. From there, the one Ditto Prism Star can evolve into the Zoroarks, the Muk, and the Lucario. Again, the Lycanroc, not the Lucario, notably. But this is obviously a good option, great ability overall. We're going for the Chemical Breath for Alolan Grimer, just because those random spots where you happen to start him, have that DCE, and you're facing down a Jirachi, you can actually snipe an early prize, which is pretty fun. Also, this is the Dark one, and this has some synergy with Nanu, which we don't play, but the opponent doesn't know that, so something that can keep them in fear as well. One copy of Alolan Muk for Power of Alchemy, trying to shut off Jirachis, trying to shut off the Marshadow-GX in Malamar decks as well, can be a big deal, and shutting off even things like Coco Prism Star early on against PikaRoms if they don't proc it early. You can get away with that as well and really hurt the opponent and stop them getting like a Coco GX out of nowhere as well. So that's pretty good overall. Muk is just a really strong card in the game right now. 2 copies of Tapu Lele-GX, one attacking our way into turn 1 Lilies is always a big deal, as well as finding those Acerolas and Guzmas on critical turns. Energy Drive is an option when we have DC available, so do bear that in mind as well. If we need to finish something off and you don't want to sacrifice Zoroark, you can bring up the Lele instead to do some hits, which is always worth noting. Onto the item cards, I've tried to be as streamlined and simple as possible. As I said, lots and lots of ball search, because when you get your Zoroark army going, your deck just becomes excellent. So that's the idea here. We have the one Pal Pad recycling our supporter cards. Obviously, we have a fairly low count of the likes of Guzma compared to other decks, just 2 copies. We have like 1 copy of Hand Disruption in Judge. We have the Acerolas that we can try and recycle. As we get to the late game, our deck gets very thin. We can Pal Pad and essentially guarantee that we trade into it all at the right time, which is awesome. 1 copy of Rescue Stretcher to try and recover some of these Pokemon if we need to. Especially, we can get back something like Alolan Muk and Grimer and try and reinstate that against the Zapdos player if it is dealt with. And then we have lots of Ball Search. I'm adding in 2 Great Ball to the list because, man, as good as Lily is, I don't trust her. And I want to make sure I get a lot of basics turn 1 and a lot of Zoroarks on turn 2. Okay, so I'm going full Ball Search, 2 Great Ball, 2 Brooklet Hill for additional ball search to find us Rockruffs and Riolus. And then we have the 3 Pokémon, which is obviously an amazing card. When a third of our deck is Pokemon, we can transfer whatever we want and make sure we get the right Pokemon. Usually, you know, trying to find that one of Muck is always pesky, so Pokémon can help us get there. Getting us turn 1 Lele odds increased and just getting more Zoroarks out is the usual stuff. And then the 4 of Ball Search of Nest and Ultra, obviously the most powerful, because this can get all of our basics turn 1, which is free, and the Ultra Ball can get us into whatever we want, including Lele on turn 1, which is excellent. I've already mentioned the Brooklet Hill just for more searchability. That's pretty much the idea here. It has a slight issue about letting other people get Baby Buzzwoles into play, so do be slightly careful about putting the stadium into play, but it's still a counter stadium for Shrine and like Thunder Mountain and stuff like that, so do bear it in mind. And it's one that you like to insta-play on turn 1 a lot more often in this deck, and gives you better outs to Pokemon in the early game for like pre-Lily and stuff, so that's awesome. Onto the supporters. 1 copy of Mallow allows us to put any 2 cards on top of our deck and draw straight into them with trade. That's the idea. It's most notably powerful for finding our 1-of copy of Counter Gain, which means that in like mirror matches or against PikaRom, we can get a dangerous rogue out of nowhere. If there's just a Rockruff on board, we can sometimes Mallow into that combo, which is pretty insane. 1 copy of Judge. It's the only real hand disruption we have in the game right now outside of Marshadow, and because we use Muck a lot of the time, we don't want to play that card. We just want the Judge itself. Shuffling both players to 4, hopefully trying to break combos from other people. Always very good when you've already got your own Zoroark set up. You can just shuffle, draw in. Then the 2 ofs of the Acerola, trying to heal some damage and undo turns for what your opponent's doing. 2 Guzmas alongside the Bloodthirsty Eyes to pick off important threats. 2 copies of Cynthia for some shuffle draw, in addition to the 4 Lilies, which is going to be the thing you want on turn 1 most of the time, as long as you can thin a reasonable amount of cards out of your hand. Obviously, like Ultra Ball and Pokémon help reduce the hand size whilst also finding basics. So as long as you haven't basically drawn into too many supporter cards, you're going to get a big Lily to hopefully find more basic Pokemon, because that's pretty much all you're after. And at the same time, looking to find turn 1 attachments and maybe stage 1s for the following turn. That's the idea of Lily and why it's being played so much over Elm recently. 1 copy of the Counter Gain. This is obviously huge, mainly for the dangerous rogue attack. It can also mean that, you know, you have higher outs to go into like Riotous Beating on turn 2. If you've, you know, sacked a prize, you can go into the Lucario the Zoroark a little easier, because you now have 9 outs. And it also means you can use Cyclone Kick that little bit easier as well, so bear that in mind. A lot of the time people gust around Lucario once it's used an Aura Strike. If they're continuing to take prizes and gust around the board, you can then attach and counter gain and take another like 2 prize knockout on a Zoroark, for example, so that's definitely worth noting. 4 DC and 5 fighting will round out the deck. I think 5 is a good number to have because, again, synergizes with Lily. Trying to get those turn 1 attachments on the likes of Rockruff makes them instant threats for future turns and is obviously very good for you. So extra attachments on turn 1 is something that we're always looking for. So that is going to be the list. There's a few cards that you could be considering. You know, I've made space for 2 Great Balls, so there's stuff missing here, right? Well, the things that I've cut from the build is actually Choice Band. Choice Band is not in my deck. I think the biggest reason I ended up cutting Choice Band is because it takes up basically 3 spaces in my eyes. 2 spaces for the bands themselves and 1 Kukui space. And really, your numbers are already magic with the Lucario and the Lycanroc trying to hit for weakness on the 2 biggest decks in format. Rice Beating is already getting over the line against Zapdos, as is everything else, so I feel like you don't actually need Choice Band too much in this list. If you do want to play Choice Band, you should be playing Kukui as well. So you should play 1 copy of Kukui if you play 2 copies of Band. Notably, Altavia didn't play Kukui in his list. I think he top 8'd it, but I can't remember how far he got with the list, but the ZoroRocCario list he played recently at a regional played no Kukui, and I think it was just 1 Band. It may have been 2, but he may have been saying, like, cut it to 1 or none, and that's what I've done, just to put in more ball search. But if you want to have the safety net of Kukui, it helps you out a little bit against, Baby Buzz if they don't have to attach a Rainbow. It helps against knocking out Zapdos, even with Claw Slash and even with Aura Strike. So the option's there, and if you play Band and Kukui, it means you can Bloodthirsty Eyes and knock out Lele's with Zoroark, which this build currently can't do. So it's something to bear in mind. If you want to play the Kukui, you definitely can go for that, but I'm currently not playing it at all. Nanu's another option. Obviously not very versatile in this list because we don't have the likes of Weavile, but it can turn a Lele into a Zoroark, which is good news, or just turn something into a Grimer to re-establish it against the opponent. The Stadium card is the one that I know I'm going to have some people questioning. Devad Field, again, can help you against Buzzwolls. It can help you just push that math a little bit better against other 130 hit point stuff. It means you don't need to fill your board against Zapdos, which can actually be important late game as well, so you don't give them free like Guzma targets. So that's something you could keep an eye out for. And also the Stadium that was actually played by Stefan was the Viridian Forest. It can be a nice -2 from hand to improve your turn 1 Lilies, because you'll be playing the Forest itself, and then you'll discard a card that you can't get rid of with Lily most of the time, and then you'll get an energy that you can hopefully attach, or you just take no target and play the Lily afterwards. So in terms of synergy with Lily, it's really nice, and it's really helpful against like when PikaRom is going to use Let Loose, and you can hopefully still have an answer to them because you have not only the 4 outs of energy that you would play, but also 2 copies of Viridian Forest. So you can gain yourself a deck space if you want to go down to 4 basic energy and 2 Viridian over 5 and 2 Brooklet that I'm playing. So you do technically gain a space in that regard if you want to. But I like having all this Pokemon search, because if we're using Brooklet for the fighting stuff, it means we can spend our nest balls all on Zoruas, and that means we have more trades on board, and that makes me very happy, because I want to draw cards with this deck every single time. That's the idea. So yeah, that's going to be all the cards I think that I think are reasonable in this deck, outside of, just like adding in Weavile and stuff like that. But I think it's pretty tight to play Weavile as well as Lucario, because Lucario doesn't really lend itself to being a 1-1 line, because the text that says Riolu basically means you can't play the Ditto as like the extra basic that you can with pretty much every other 1-1 line that you can play in Zoroark, so prizing becomes a lot more awkward. So I think a 2-2 line, potentially you can get away with a 2-1 line of Lucario if you really want to be greedy. But we get to go first here. We have Brooklet Hill, we have Great Ball, we have Riolu, we have Energy, we have Lily. These are all the things we want to see turn 1. Happy days. We'll hold Riolu for now. The only thing that can improve this hand is a Pokémon draw. Okay, sure. Sometimes. Yeah. Okay. We are facing down another fighting deck. So we do have to be a little bit careful about what's going on here. But this is a good start. I think we want to grab this guy. Ditto can be anything, including a Muck if we need it to be. Riolu sounds good. Rockruff sounds good. Another Rockruff sounds good. The only time we don't want to attach is if he's like a Buzz Cario, because he could easily have Diancie and just jab us for a knockout on the active. Attaching to the Rockruff is equally awkward because we don't guarantee a DC for next turn, so we hold it. Drawing into a Fighting Energy and a Riolu is pretty much the only other things we could have asked for here, so pretty insane turn 1. Thanks to all the ball search we have. Forget Elm, get 5 basics every turn. Easy. With DC Zoroark for next turn. Perfect. So let's see a little bit more about what our opponent's playing. They have Pokémon and Guzma that they're getting rid of with that Ultra Ball. Grabbing themselves a Rockruff. They already have Brooklet Hill to find something similar. They're going to grab Riolu. Looks like we're in Mirror. That's one slightly awkward thing about Brooklet. Mirror means they also get the benefit. We're going to see a Nest Ball from our opponent. Yeah, looks to be Mirror. And a Detect does flip Tails, which is pretty good for us. So we can actually shut off his Ditto here. And I think it's more important. Like, it cuts off a Zoroark from us, but it's more important to cut off a Zoroark from him, because then he has 2 dead spaces on his board. It's essentially like we've paralleled him, which is pretty strong. We want to do this, and we want a Lily before the trade here. More Zoroark sounds cool. Probably should have done my first trade before evolving this, just in case of Pokecoms. We have found a Lycanroc, though. And bringing up his Rockruff is going to save us a lot of pain down the line. I can take Knockout here. But if he just comes in with another Riolu, we can knock that out with our own Lycanroc anyway. If he deals with our Rockruff with a Zoroark, I'll be upset by that outcome. I'm just thinking if I want to protect this energy right now. The only fear is if he has the insane hand of the counter gain himself plus an energy and then knocks out the Lycanroc. We have one more trade as well, which I think is going to be an Acerola. Acerola is not hugely impactful in this matchup, and we are already holding one. I think we're holding Lycanroc. I think if he's doing like a Zoroark comes in, knocks out our Rockruff kind of play, we already have Bloodthirsty Eyes and we already have Riolu established to maybe make that a scary play for him. So this seems reasonable. Our opponent's able to calm into their only Zoroark. And they're going to trade once. Not going into any fighting Pokemon seems really good for us. DC Bloodthirsty Eyes. Yeah, that looks to be what's happening here. Oh, we also don't play Blower, by the way. Means if people are playing Policy, it's bad. But it's another one of those one-offs that don't really help us out too often. So we then see the Cynthia. Another thing we don't play is actually multi-switch. Multi-switch is a consideration in this deck, similar to the counter gain, but more proactive. They're going to re-establish another Zorua here. Seems good. Okay. Not a bad response from our opponent. We'll start by trading away one of these 3 fighting energies. And I think we're going to sack the Judge here. Just for Pokécom, I can get rid of Ultra Ball. What else do I need on this board? I can already stretch a back Rockruff. I can Bloodthirsty Eyes, knock out whatever I want. Yeah, I think it's the Ultra Ball that goes. Now we have a Guzma opportunity. I mean, we had the opportunity to just Ultra Ball find Lucario and take the 2-prize knockout, but I'm really not threatened by the ZoroRoc. I'm way more threatened about everything else. This is definitely happening. I think we just take out the threat on his side of the field. Re-establish another Zorua, so that if a Zoro does go down, we'll still have hand advantage over him. Basically, we're trying to make our hand advantage count a lot. If we attach here, he could still get the counter gain shenanigans, but his hand size is so low. I think it's unlikely. You would have to have energy Guzma counter gain. Now he can't do it with the Bloodthirsty Eyes, so I feel a lot safer about doing this. His hand would literally have to be the nuts in order to knock us out, even with trade. He may have promoted this Zorua simply to... He's planning a Guzma play again this turn on one of our basics, like the Riolu. They're going to keep trading. Yep. DC to their Lycanroc, and then they're going to do a Guzma play. But now we have the Guzma play on him with our Lycanroc, which seems really strong. We have 3 ZoroRoc in play over him, which is pretty nuts. We can re-establish this boy as well. Start trading. I mean, this is one of the things about ZoroRoc mirror matches. The person who goes first is just so far ahead the whole game, basically, in my opinion. And this time we were fortunate enough to go first. Yeah. Okay. Nice win there in a mirror. Let's go for another game. We had pretty much everything developed. I was going to Pal Pad proactively to put another Guzma into our deck, so we had 3 trades to try and find a Guzma for our Riolu, just in case he was able to counter gain knock out our own Lycanroc with his Lycanroc. Well, it was a Riolu at the time, but if he was able to develop his own counter gain energy Lycanroc, we would still have a Guzma to take our last 2 prizes. That was pretty much the only way that we would lose, is if we let him do the counter gain Lycanroc shenanigans and we had no instant response the following turn. Going first here, we have a Riolu and a Lucario already in hand, so I'm kind of liking the idea of holding these, even though I could calm one away if we need to Lele turn 1. But again, we have the lovely Great Ball, everyone's favourite. Great Ball can be anything, who knows? And in this case, it's a Zorua. Happy days. We're staring down an Eevee. Eevee is usually Jolteon. Usually. I'm going to calm this away. Because it's not a basic Pokemon, and it's not a Lele. Now I'm really debating this second Pokecom. It's always good to guarantee like another ZoroRoc, but I think this turning into a Ditto also sounds very strong for me. Because he could easily be a Jolteon Zapdos. And establishing Ditto early is very good against Zapdos players. Because we have led a Riolu, I think I'm going to attach here. Whereas last time we led a Zorua, so it was more likely better to hold the energy. We pick up a couple of options here. I think we just take the Lycanroc. It's not a basic Pokemon. Just a bit of a shame. But seeing our 2 Great Balls early is not bad at all. We have the potential for Mallow next turn. Seems good. The only thing we could really think about is if we want to Ultra Ball proactively to find ourselves either another Zorua or a Grimer. We already have 2 Zoroark in hand. What would the Ultra Ball? Ultra Ball could get rid of Stretcher. No, sorry, Lycanroc, because we have Stretcher. And then probably just Guzma. I don't mind it. I don't mind it. I should probably check if our other Guzma's here. No, it's not. But we do have Pal Pad. Okay. Playing Guzmaless is a little bit greedy, I'll be honest. But we have Bloodthirsty Eyes. And this is making the read that they are a Zapdos-based deck. PikaRom could easily also be playing Jolteon as a 1-1 line. Which is slightly more scary, but already holding Mallow, which makes me a little more confident in this sort of line. We immediately do see Zapdos, and plus even PikaRoms go early Zapdos pressure. So the fact that they haven't led a Jirachi means it may be difficult for them to find a Guzma this turn, which would be insanely good for us. An Escape Rope makes me want to go into the Lele to be greedy. We have no means of turning into a... sorry, of Acerola-ing. Yeah, this is a really good Escape Rope. Because I really want double Zoroark. I'm so greedy for draw. We can retreat this Lele next turn. That's kind of what I'm thinking. They get their Stellar Wish in. They find themselves a Lily. I mean, if everything goes downhill here, they could find a switch card and have enough damage buffs to actually knock this out turn 1. They need 2 Electro Powers. Uh-oh. Monka S. 7 draws for one of his 3 remaining Electro Powers for a 2 prize knockout on turn 1. Would definitely show us up. Oh, they're playing Acrobikes as well as Jirachi. Makes me think they're PikaRom. So now they have a 9-card dig for Electro Power. They can Ultra Ball and let loose if they are PikaRom. They're just going to Ultra Ball away 2 more Lightning Energies and find themselves a Zapdos. Possibly just trying to get value out of Coco Prism while they can. That seems to be exactly what's happening. Even this 140 has its benefits because he's obviously trying to set up a Jolteon against us. Oh, they did find it though. Okay. It's a good turn 1 from them, especially when they didn't start with Jirachi. That's pretty insane, to be honest. But we guarantee Muck with Mallow here. We'll do 1 trade pre-Mallow to see if we get any of those pieces. So in order to take a knockout this turn, we need to stretch about the Lele and put it into play, which I really don't like. But there's already 2 Electro Powers down. And it lets us grab a guaranteed Acerola. Which I kind of do like. I like that part, at least. I think I want Muk Rockruff. It might just be Muk Zorua though. No, it's Muk Rockruff. I've just played my stretcher, so... Okay. Their turn 1 was bananas, but our turn 2 was pretty reasonable as well. Pretty reasonable. Let's see how much further their hand can take them with no more Stellar Wishing. That's pretty much the whole plan around Zoroark. Yes, you can get out-tempoed early game by Zapdos, but hopefully with a Muk you can reclaim that tempo by them having some very weak turns ahead once their engine starts to go. They did do some key things though. They took 2 prizes, and they also got their Coco down early. So 2 big ticks for them. That's gone very well in their favour. They get to Erika's for 6 cards as well. Pretty powerful. I see an Acrobike from them as well. So they play Shrine, so they play Bikes, but they aren't playing PikaRom. They got rid of a Choice Band. Wow. Surprised to see that. It's going to make this Lele actually tank. Probably. Attach again to the Eevee. They're actually just going to forego an attack here. Let Shrine tick up. Doesn't mean that we get to draw a lot of cards this turn, though. And we're definitely looking for a gusting effect for this Eevee or the Blitzel. Finding the Brooklet is always nice. We already have Ultra Ball as well. That's always going into play. Now, we haven't seen any sign of Rainbow Energies just yet. And I'm thinking, if he's got space for Acrobikes, they don't have space for Rainbow Energy and Tech Pokemon attackers. That's the assumption I'm under right now. And our next question is, do we want to knock out the Blitzel here or the Eevee? And I think the answer is Blitzel. We are proactively getting Muk to stop them drawing cards. Their hand size is all already like pretty intimidating, but we just want to stop the cycle cold, I think, here. We have a Judge for next turn as well, so if we can combine it with a Judge, it's a big deal. The one downside to putting this Lycanroc into play is that he has the potential to Swift Run now, and we haven't yet found Pal Pad. But we also have Guzma as one of our 5 prize cards. So taking that would be Pog. Just a double colourless. Not too bad though. Our opponent's hand size is very large right now. We see a Brooklet fail, which I'm very happy about because we've just gone to 4 prizes. Second Shrine comes down though, which is scary. Definitely scary. I'm going to see a Guzma bringing up Muk. pretty hopeful from them, but in this case it's probably going to work out. Only a couple of trades on our end. Two Electro Power's gone. I'm thinking if it's ever right to just attach to the active here and play a Judge and make it hard for them to find Electro Power. The awkward thing is we're playing a Judge and there's no guarantee of us finding another DCE. But I think this is correct. It's a really weird play, but I think it's right. Note Counter Stadium's a little bit sad here. He's getting a lot of shrine value. Trying to protect this Muk would be pretty insane though. See a Rescue Stretcher from our opponent. Getting back 2 targets into the deck. It's actually surprising because they're not top decks he wants. Finds Electro Power off R4. Feels bad, man. So this will go down to 170. But 3 Electro Powers and 2 Choice Bands already gone. So I still feel fairly confident that we can do this. Our opponent can already take the Riolu prize if we... Like, we're at 3 prizes, right? So he has to... Either I'm... Oh, I need to play this for damage. Yeah, so I'm obviously doing this. He now has the potential to Tapu GX us as well, because there's no Muk. So we definitely don't want to attach and give it him for free, because he would have to find that last Electro Power anyway. So whether or not we're picking up this Lele, which I don't think we are. We still currently have no out to a Swift run, which would be so sad. We've got a 25% to have an answer though. So, they have 1 Stellar Wish available. Shrine stayed, which is very sad. And Muk's gone, which is also very sad. Getting rid of that Guzma and never having the option to Pal Pad has been pretty rough. Also, Shrine's got immense value. Immense value, for sure. Well, they found their last Electro Power, which is a big yikes, dude. You see a Nest Ball. They're going to re-establish that Blitzel. More Jirachi. They're going to take another stab at it with a Stellar Wish. Definitely taking their time over this decision, which is a good sign for us, I think. It's either a lot of good options or no good options. Lily's an option. Wow, they even play the Electro Power. That sounds greedy. But I guess Shrine's doing so much. Yeah, Shrine's doing enough. Doing the business right now. Alright, let's draw the rest of our deck. That's definitely happening every time. Only one Guzma play does definitely scare me. This is obviously happening. But they might be out of damage buffs. That's pretty much my only hope. 4 power, 2 band is usually the number that they play. 2 shrine is also usually the number that they play. But our opponent has played acrobikes, so their deck isn't necessarily the usual counts. So we have to be on our toes here. We finally picked up Guzma, by the way, which is really good for the Swift Run turn if it comes. I'm not so scared of the Coco GX turn now that they only have, well, they have no more Electro Powers. The Coco GX turn is still strong if he's able to knock out like a bench Pokemon or something. He could also be trying to like Swift Run our Lele as well. That would be very scary. Here's a Guzma. Guzma's always strong for them here. If they want to take a 2-prizer or a 1-prizer, it's strong. If they are using Guzma, they can retreat into this guy first and get a free Stellar Wish in. More energy to Zapdos. Interesting. That means it's a Guzma on a Riolu? Or, sorry, the Zorua? Oh, he actually does want the Riolu. Interesting. So we Acerola this turn. I mean, if he can hit 15, he can knock out either of these, so hitting 17s is the most difficult thing for him. We definitely don't attach. I'm definitely playing this. What's wrong with putting down these over these two? These two should happen. Let's check something first. Okay. already holding Guzma, and I'm thinking whether or not it's better to do runner Guzma here. No, because we don't want to attach any energy. I could attach Retreat the Lele, though. Maybe runner Guzma's our best bet here. And I have to think about whether it's scarier to... Oh yeah, we don't need to Guzma. What am I talking about? We've Acerola this turn. Yeah, so we just swing. We can access our entire deck next turn anyway. And if anything dies, we lose, so... Apart from Riolu, which is fine. That's allowed to go. That's the only thing that's allowed to go. So I think we've just about made a comeback, unless there's any Coco-GX shenanigans alongside a Guzma and a Choice Band. Oh no, he doesn't need the Choice Band. He just needs Guzma, Coco, GX, which isn't actually asking for much. Oh, it's probably best for me to GX that turn, huh? Yeah, I could have retreated and GX'd. Damn, I can't believe I missed that. That's so dumb. Oh, he ultra-balled out a Blitzel. Huh? Did we survive? Hello? Or is it BM? We definitely should have retreated and Dangerous Road that turn. Because then we would only have 100. It depends. If I'm playing around third choice band or if I'm playing around Guzma Coco GX. It's weird. I should probably play around the GX though with Guzma. His deck is so thin and he's only played 2 Guzmas. Yeah, I can see us losing here now. But because he Ultra Ball Blitzel, maybe not? Question mark? Who knows? I definitely should have Dangerous Rogue though. The skateboard doesn't scare me much. Maybe it's a big whiff. Second chance for Guzma. If they don't already have the Guzma, I guess. Yep, I think he got us. Oh, he don't got us. Whew. That was scary. Too scary. I imagine Coco GX was prized then, because he ultra-balled for a Blitzel. So we got away with one. I definitely should have retreated and GX though. Sorry, bro. Probably shouldn't have won that game. I think if I attacked with Dangerous Rogue, though, I think I definitely do win. Regardless, being able to win when we basically started the game on 4... He started the game on 4 prizes is still a big kudos to this deck for being able to win that game, so... Potentially, you could say it was greedy of me to put up the Lele turn 1, but... He did hit a lot of things. I think had he had started a second... If he had started a Jirachi and put a second Jirachi down, I don't think I would have ever brought up the Lele. But the fact that he started an Eevee and just had one Lele made it look more desperate than his hand actually was. His hand was pretty stacked. Interesting. Yeah, but I don't think I would ever play around a third band. But when you see acrobikes, you can never really tell what people's counts are, right? That's the issue. Keeping me guessing. Okay, let's get one last game in. See a Marshadow. Could be a lot of things when you see a Marshadow. Let's see what this brings us. Always happy to see more Zorua on the board. Marshadow could either be PikaRom or Mali? or just random stuff. And I think I want Muck down against all of those things. So, yeah. Hand's already pretty stacked. I don't think we need to play any other cards from this hand. We'll just draw 4. This turn is now pretty stacked. Prize 3 energy cards. On Zoro. Okay. Do I want to go full Pokémon? Just get an extra Zorua. I mean, next turn evolve DCE Cynthia sounds good already. I think having the option of Gust as well is strong. You know, just grab the full team. It's another turn, another game where we've got the full bench. It's pretty poggers. The only thing we can't threaten is oh, it's Blacephalon. Blacephalon is definitely a hard matchup for us. Definitely a hard matchup for us. Because we do not have damage buffs. So we are strictly a 2-hit KO deck outside of our Lycanroc turn. So the Weavile build or the Ninetales build are both far more resilient to a clown than our build is. We don't even have the option to Zoroark knock out a Lele. So we are very, very weak against clowns compared to the other Zoro builds. So, how do we win? Question mark. The answer. Out-consistency them. That's pretty much the only answer I have. Lucario is really not that strong in this matchup either because they have the option of Beast Energying their Naggers. Go for a smack. Feels safe enough when there's only one Poipole on board. They immediately have their own counter stadium in Ultra Space. They're going to grab that Nag. We can't even knock out Nags with this build because we don't play Kukui or Stadium. So the clown matchup is as hard as it gets with this build. We really are just trying to beat Zapdos, Mirror, and PikaRom. That's the whole idea about this build. Don't beat much else, but you hope to just capitalize on the best decks in the format. One thing that has been presented to us is trying to judge on the turn we allow B-strings to be live. We're going to see a Bursting Burn here, or a Burst GX. He's actually just going to go for... Wow. Why, though? But I could Acerola. Bruh. Fearless. Thing is, I don't want to Acerola this hand. Sounds good. You also want to have a backup attachment for when he does have rings. So we're actually just going to do this stuff. And his 100 damage is actually going to stick here. Which is really bizarre. But I think it works. At least in my head. No counter stadium kind of sucks. That's the only thing we really would be looking for. Okay, let's drop the beating. He can guarantee himself a clown. How many rings can he get himself? Is he going to be the Lord of the Rings? Also, can he stay at 3 bench Pokemon? It's another question. Is he just going to ring and hope that this one clown carries? Or is he going to try and develop more Poipole as well? There's a Beast Energy. And a Treasure. Well, we know it can't get him Lele or Let Loose. Well, he can get him a Lele if he wants to, but it's going to be a sad result. Looks like Bursting Burn is the play. So they've prized a good amount. Oh. Okay. Fair enough. Oh man, PCGO bugs suck. I mean, that would be a knockout. But PCGO doesn't work. Which sucks. And we're just going to be fully greedy and take advantage of that situation. Pokemon, if you're listening, probably should fix that. It's been 2 sets. I mean, come on. We can keep trading. GXing this sounds pretty good. Means we're a Guzma away. So let's play it out as if... So he is down to 4 prizes right now. He still has a hand of exactly Lele that he can treasure for another Nag. But he can't do anything else outside of Bursting Burn. But he would have had 2 extra cards. Maybe one of those cards get him a draw supporter. You know, the prize cards he would have taken. So, unfair GX. Yeah. Well, we know it would have been another treasure as one of the cards at least. So that wouldn't have got him out of dead draw. Bloody PCGO not working. What a mess. Oh well, that was ZoroRocCario. Decent deck. And it only really wants to face a couple of decks in the format, but it faces them pretty nicely. So let me know what you guys think about this list. How greedy is Great Ball? Be honest with me. Should I be playing one Choice Band, one Kukui? Is 1-1 even worth it? Do I need to start cutting even deeper into the deck to make the space? Do I need to go down to 4 energy, cut the Brooklets, go into Viridians, and then have the 2-1? If I cut the Great Balls, then we don't even have that much Ball Search, and it makes me nervous. Hope you did enjoy how busted our turn 1s were, because we were seeing these Great Balls early, and they were, in fairness, giving us more Pokemon that were actually really helpful. So, yeah, I hope you did enjoy, guys, and I'll see you in another video tomorrow. Cheers.